happening, people? It's your girl Minna. Welcome back to the channel. You already know what it is. Happy Friday, guys. Happy Friday. Don't let football ruin the weekend to come when football is going to ruin your weekend. But you guys know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you are new here. We got some stuff to talk about, guys, because why is there fireworks going off? Oh my god, yeah, it's bonfire season, actually. Never mind. Ignore me. We got a lot to talk about because I think it's time we really start to have a conversation about what is this nonsense that Erik ten Hag tends to say in his press conferences. I'm done with it. I'm actually done with it. Now, he did his press conference after the game, and also he spoke to media, TNT Sports, etc., etc., etc. But then he also did his press conference for the West Ham game, and that came out this morning. It was embargoed. And the guy just don't help himself. He really doesn't help himself. At this point, what he says to the fans, if this is what he says to the fans, I cannot imagine what he says to players behind closed doors. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to relive the game yesterday. Not really relive it, but really dissect it to try and understand whether what fans are being told by the manager and what we're seeing on the pitch, whether it kind of corroborates. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the West Ham game as well, because Manchester United go away to West Ham, on Sunday. Erik ten Hag did also say that Man United stayed in Turkey last night, left today, and then we're heading to London on Saturday. So that's a lot of traveling for them, but that's not an excuse. And you know what's not an excuse? Injuries ain't an excuse. That's not an excuse either. Big up to Gaz in the chat, says big up Minna, big up. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. We are going to talk about Amad Diallo. We're going to talk about Christian Eriksen. We're going to talk about Joshua Zirkzee, and we're going to talk about what Erik ten Hag said for the West Ham press conference. Because for me, listen, guys, I said it last night on the stream. I said when Erik ten Hag leaves Manchester United, I might just do one whole stream dedicated to going through everything he's ever said in press conferences, to the media, etc., etc. Because every time he says something, and I'm like, wow, this is the most absurd thing that I've heard him say. And then the next time around, he tops it. So I don't know what he could possibly say next week before the Chelsea game or after the Chelsea game that could possibly top what he has said in the last 24 hours after the Fenerbahce game and for the West Ham press conference. The Spurs comments were actually amusing. It's difficult to understand what goes on in his mind. The thing is, right, what he said about Spurs, and we're going to get to it, yeah? What he said about Spurs, the logic, I hear it, but also I don't at the same time. Like the logic, I understand what he's trying to say. He's trying to say a player got sent off. He wasn't meant to get sent off. It was kind of taken back after the game. Basically, he's saying that red card changed everything. But then he's also the same manager that goes on and on and on about injuries. I mean, I said it before. It was only going to be a matter of time before the topic of injuries became the new thing this season. And that's why I always said, I hope Manchester United and I hope Erik ten Hag can have all his players fit and available, because when they are fit and available, I'd like to know what the excuse is. And we've seen them fit and available. Let's be honest, Erik ten Hag right now, in his press conference, was talking about injuries and, you know, so many players missing, etc., etc., etc. Really and truly, I think in the first month or so of the season, Erik ten Hag has had his preferred starting 11 available to him, bar Luke Shaw. And even then, I'm saying bar Luke Shaw, but I don't even know if Luke Shaw is a player that he wants to play at left back. I don't know. He kind of emphasizes the importance of a left-footed player on the left-hand side. But again, you've had your starting 11 available. And where did that get us? It got us nowhere. It got us walloped to Liverpool. It got us walloped by Spurs. It got us embarrassed by Brighton. So really and truly, this notion or this idea about injuries is not really it. It's not really it. But anyways, we're going to get into all of that. What should we start with, guys? What should we start with? I don't know what to start. Should we start with players? Should we talk about players? Let's talk about players. Let's talk about players. These two in particular, the two players that have created the most chances for Manchester United this season. Hear this. Christian Eriksen and Amad Diallo have created the most chances for Manchester United in all competitions so far this season. Christian Eriksen has created 25 chances and Amad Diallo has created 16. Now, again, these are kind of stats that I take it with a pinch of salt, in the same way that I take XG with a pinch of salt. But this also shows to me who Manchester United's creative outlets could possibly be. And that is further why I don't understand why Mazraoui started in the 10. Like, again, I rate Mazraoui. I think he's a good defender and I think he's a good fullback. but he's not a 10. And even Erik ten Hag after the game said that, listen to this, guys. Erik ten Hag after the game said that Mazraoui was a 10 and he used to be a 10 and he turned him into a fullback. Can you believe that? He's fully taking credit for whatever it is that we applaud Mazraoui for what he does now as a fullback. He's basically taking credit for it. But this is one thing I don't understand. Amad Diallo, Christian Eriksen, most created chances in all competitions for Manchester United this season, and yet one of them cannot sniff the starting lineup. And I have to ask the question, is Amad Diallo being fairly untreated? Is he being unfairly treated? Sorry, not fairly treated. Is he being unfairly treated? Because Erik ten Hag has, again, coming into the season, guys, he said he's going to be an important part of the team. He did say that in pre-season. Amad Diallo played near enough to every game in pre-season. He said Amad is not a young player. Literally, I remember, I think it was after the Rangers game or something. He said Amad is not a young player. He's, what's it called? He's one of the senior players and he's going to be an important part for us this season. He also, can I just say, absolutely contradicted himself. He contradicted himself big time. Now, after the game yesterday, he came out and said, regarding Anthony, he said Anthony is working hard and training hard, hence why he chose to bring him on. Do you remember, guys, months ago, at the end of last season, yeah? At the end, towards the latter stages of last season, I think it was around April time, Erik ten Hag said and praised Amad for training so well, but said he has to wait to get his moment in the team because other people were playing well. Is that not contradictory? That's borderline hypocrisy. That's borderline hypocrisy. Because if you're holding Amad to that standard where he's working hard in training and he's playing well in training, then if you're doing the same thing for Anthony and you're saying Anthony deserves to be brought on because of that, because in training he's one of your best players, I'm not buying it. I am not buying it at all. Yep, he's been treated unfairly. I also feel like Erik ten Hag, this question kind of points out, do you think Erik ten Hag prefers runners or ballers? I am further kind of confirmed that Erik ten Hag does not like players with technical ability. He doesn't like players that require, in order to impact the game, require to dominate the team, to dominate possession. He doesn't like that. He likes people that can run, make runs. He doesn't, look at this. Christian Eriksen, even this season has really been the time for Christian Eriksen to really get some time, right? It's really been the moment for him to get some playing time. And even then, it's at what cost? I don't know. Erik ten Hag saw him play well one game and has just held on to him. But Christian Eriksen technically is a very good player on a technical level. Amad Diallo, Joshua Zirkzee, Jadon Sancho, all players that when a team is dominating possession, I think that we could really see a great version of them. But yeah, Erik ten Hag does not prefer that. He doesn't like that. And again, it could just be the profile of players do not fit the system, but I couldn't tell you what the system is. I couldn't tell you it. I don't know whether Man United want to, and I pointed it out in my 5 things we learned, guys. I don't understand why Manchester United always choose to get rid of possession to try and win it back. Since when was that a style of football? Since when was turnovers a style of football? Since when was transition football a style of football? I thought transition, in my opinion anyway, the way that I see it, transition football is, I don't think you play it for 90 minutes. I don't think so. I personally, I don't think you play transition football for 90 minutes. I think it gets you through a rough patch of the game, which allows you to build up and kind of get control of the game, especially in a game where you ain't got no control. But when you're telling me your sole purpose is to play transitional football, it just means you're going to sit back and just hit counters. And at that point, you're just a participant in the game. You're not even there to participate. You're not there to participate. You're just there to, I don't even know, just take up, you're just there to take up unnecessary space. But I mentioned this in my five things we learned after the game. When Manchester United are playing out from the back, why do they just hoof the ball forward? And 9 times out of 10, whoever it is that it goes to, Garnacho, Rashford, Højlund, Zirkzee, whoever it is up top, Dalot sometimes who's there, they will not win their aerial duel. And Man United will go for the second ball. And my question is, why do you need to lose the ball to try and gain it back? Is it, and the only thing I can think of, right, the only thing I can think of is Erik ten Hag cannot play out from the back. So instead, he chose to go long with the hopes of winning the ball back from a second chance in a more threatening position. Because when you go long, you've already taken out, I don't know, like 66% of the pitch. 66% of the pitch is done. You're in the opponent's final third. And if you can't win that first ball, Man United always try to win that second ball. But why? I'd rather you just hold on to possession and try and build up from the back, because that's what we were told that Erik ten Hag wanted to do. Possession-based football. Do you guys remember when Erik ten Hag joined? Forget this whole Ajax style of football. The topic of discussion was, how is he going to play possession-style football? Manchester United are going to dominate possession. It doesn't make sense. Ahmad went from player of the month to completely not playing. I don't want to say it's an injustice, right? Because I see actual injustices in the world happening right now, right? Pre-Palestine. But this is unfortunate for Amad Diallo. This is actually unfortunate. Guys, he's about to be 23 years old. And he's yet to break 100 career games. Imagine that. He's been at United for 4 years. He had a long stint, a whole seasonal stint at Sunderland. Didn't really get off the mark at Rangers. And that was, I think that was half a season loan. But you're telling me he's still yet to break 100 career games. I'm going to look back at that in the future and think that is unfortunate for a player of his talent and his level and a player of his caliber. There's worse players that have broken 100 career games before him. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. Not a defined style like certain men are trying to make us believe. I don't believe, and nobody can sit here and tell me Manchester United under Erik ten Hag has a style. They have a style of football and a clear style of football. I'm not buying it. And if anybody wants to debate me on that, I'm happy. Like, I'll do a call-in show. I want to hear it because I don't believe it. I do not believe it. Now, after the game this morning, Laurie Whitwell said that some of the Fenerbahce hierarchy were stunned that Ahmad had not come on sooner last night, and they feared the worst when his first touch led to a dangerous free kick. Imagine that. His first touch was more dangerous than anything Anthony did in his 7-minute, 13-minute cameo, however long he was on the pitch. I can't remember how long he was on the pitch. But for however long Anthony was on the pitch, Amad Diallo's first touch was more dangerous and scared the opponent more than Anthony. It's not like they're coming out and saying, oh, Anthony getting injured was actually helpful for us because we were scared of him. It's not like they're saying that. And like, for me personally, it's no criticisms to Anthony per se, because yeah, I can't talk about him because, like, I can't talk about him personally because I don't know him personally. I can only go off of what is portrayed and what we see. And what I see is, for Anthony, a guy who has got a dream move to Manchester United with a manager that counted on him to do something. And he's never going to want to leave United, guys. Let's be honest. Why would you leave Manchester United or just any club in general when you went from earning 20k a week to 200k a week? These guys gave you a 100 plus pay rise weekly. That's generational wealth. Your grandkids might never have to work because of Manchester United. So why would he want to leave? Okay, I think this is the main talking points from last night. Nazir Mazraoui playing in the 10. Like I said, I have no issue with Nazir Mazraoui, and I actually tweeted it before the game. I said this could be one of those things that work, but if it doesn't work, it's going to backlash on Erik ten Hag big time. Big time. And the reason why I say it's going to backlash on him is because Erik ten Hag, again, doesn't help himself, came out after the game and said, in a game like this, a hostile environment, it would have been risky to play 4 attackers. What does that even mean? Are you telling me if Bruno was available, you wouldn't have played him? Of course you would have played him, and you would have had four attackers. You would have had 4 attackers. You cannot justify playing Nazir Mazraoui in the 10 by saying that. On top of that, you can't justify it by saying that he played for you in the 10 before many times at Ajax when it was less than 10 times. It was less than 10 times. Now, again, Nazir Mazraoui, on the ball, from a defensive perspective, I think he's good. But when you are already in an attacking position, a threatening position, I mean, he's good at keeping the ball at his feet. But outside of that, guys, look at his touches against Fenerbahce yesterday. And that was between him playing in the 10 and playing on the left-hand side. Look at that. Look at his touches. Everything was in the white. Like, it was pointless. Playing Nazir Mazraoui in the 10 was pointless. Look at the touches or the lack of touches in the central areas, or even in the final third, the central part of the final third area. Let me actually think. Here, these parts here, these parts here. He had a touch in the box that led to Xerxes playing Eriksen in to get the opening goal. So he got the pre-assist, if you want to call it the pre-assist. And this is, again, I am not criticizing Mazraoui. I am fully putting all of this on Erik ten Hag. Now, I'm sure, wallahi, astaghfirullah, let me not say wallahi because I don't know for sure. It's just an opinion. But I'm sure Ruud van Nistelrooy laughs to himself every single day because he's probably thinking this guy is shooting himself in the foot with this outrageous stuff that he says and the outrageous things that he's doing. I cannot believe, guys, that you choose to play someone in the 10 who is a defender in comparison to potentially playing someone who actually can play in the 10. Amad Diallo has played multiple times. Unlike Nazir Mazraoui, Amad Diallo played multiple times in the 10 for Sunderland. Even at Sunderland, when he was playing as a right winger, he was more playing as like in the half space between the right-hand side and the 10. So even then, he was drifting centrally a lot. Joshua Xerxes could have been a better option for the 10 position. He could have. Christian Eriksen, and this is why, again, I kind of question the starting 11 and the substitutions, because I understand Man United didn't have a lot of midfielders, right? I understand that. They only had Christian Eriksen, Casemiro, and Ugarte. But I'll go on to say, shouldn't you field your stronger midfield option? Shouldn't you field your stronger midfield option in a game that for me is a must win? Because I don't know how people walk away from Fenerbahce and say, that was a decent game. I don't know how people say it was a decent game. If you take everything into consideration for me, which is all the things that have happened leading up to the Fenerbahce game, the record in Europe, the lack of wins in Europe this season, I would have said Fenerbahce was a must-win game. And I actually did say that. I said Fenerbahce was a must-win game. Ahead of the season, when the draw happened, I said that Porto and Fenerbahce would be the two biggest games for Manchester United in Europa League. But I said, if Man United and Erik ten Hag want to show that they've learned something from last season and they've actually improved, and Erik ten Hag has actually kind of figured things out, I said Man United will go and get 4 points out of 6 at the least. I didn't expect United to lose to Fenerbahce or Porto, but I expected them to win at least one of the games. And both games, Manchester United went up. And again, I'm sure like a lot of you lot feel, when Man United do go up, until I see the ref blow the whistle for the end of the game, I'm not at ease. I am not at ease. Because somehow, Man United will concede a goal. And let's get onto it, because Charlie actually mentions it here. Says, Erik ten Hag got a question about the Spurs game. What does he say? Let's get to that. Let's get to what Erik ten Hag said before we get back to some of the stuff. Before we get back to talking about some of the players as well, because I don't want to just talk about Erik ten Hag the entire stream. I think he's the biggest issue for Manchester United right now, but I don't want to focus on that. Now, before I actually get to the comment, big up Mina, Visca Barca, Man United, we go to war Sunday. It's Saturday, bro. It's not Sunday. I swear El Clasico is Saturday, number one. Number two, shout out to Spotify and Barcelona, because they actually sent me a care package for a limited edition, guys. You know the Coldplay, the group Coldplay, they did a collaboration with Barcelona and Spotify, and there's like a limited edition shirt, jersey, like football jersey, limited edition Barcelona, like jumpers, scarves, etc. And shout out to Spotify and Barcelona because they sent it to me. It was a nice little gift. But I don't know who I'm rooting for El Clasico on Saturday. I can't lie, because I really like Vinny. But Lamine Yamal and Rafinha are just balling out right now. They are really balling out. So I don't know where I'm leaning towards on Saturday. But listen, let's talk about Erik ten Hag quickly. Before we get to the comments about the Spurs game, I actually want to highlight this. Because for me, this is mismanagement of players. This is actually publicly throwing your players under the bus. And the worst thing is, it's your young players. Now, speaking to TNT Sport after the game yesterday, Erik ten Hag said, we were doing very well. We're going into a winning position. And then this is what stands out for me, guys. He went on to say, the tactics were right. But then, of course, the team should learn game management. We have young players that make mistakes like today, and it should not happen on our level. Erik ten Hag said the tactics were right. What tactics? You're telling me, is that you openly confessing in the first half? Because that's when Manchester United were leading 1-0, right? So is Erik ten Hag openly confessing that the tactics were to let Fenerbahce have 60% plus possession in the first half, have multiple chances on goal, put together in the first half, by the way, nearly double the amount of passes that Manchester United put together? Are you telling me that was a tactic? Because if you're saying we got the tactics right, but the players need to learn game management, and then you go out to single young players. What young players? Is it Rasmus Højlund? Because it can't be Kobbie Mainoo. It can't be Shea Lacey, because you didn't pick him. It can't be Toby Collier. Who is the young players that you are referencing that you are saying need to learn game management because you got the tactics right? Is it Alejandro? The only young players I can think of, right? Garnacho. That's it. Is there anyone else that we would... Is there anyone else I'm missing, guys? Let me know. Is there anyone else that we are missing to label as a young player that played yesterday? Because I don't really think there is. Joshua Zirkzee, for me, is not a young player. He's in his 20s. Rasmus Højlund, even, I'm gonna hold on to that. Maybe you could class him as a young player. Amad Diallo, 22 years old, came on in 5 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go. Rashford, 26, 27. He's not young. Ugarte is like 23, 24. Christian Eriksen definitely ain't young. Onana ain't young. Who is the young player or young players that Erik ten Hag is referencing that made these mistakes and need to learn game management? Because I don't know who it is. And I feel like it's just a cop-out. I genuinely feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out. And Erik ten Hag is using this as an excuse. And to even then say, we got the tactics right. If the tactics are to sit back and be dominated in the first half, but you got a goal, and then you just stink up the pitch, you stink up the game. If that's the tactics, then I want no part of that, guys. I really think, I don't know what it is. Erik ten Hag treats Manchester United like we're a third place, fourth place Dutch team. No disrespect to Dutch teams in the Eredivisie, but he treats Manchester United like a mid-table team. And I can say, Man United are currently mid-table, but Man United is not a mid-table team. So why is it acceptable for the manager to treat us like we are? He even said to go away to Porto and Fenerbahce and get 2 points shows that we are a difficult team to beat. If you lot did not hear that, I'm going to repeat it for you guys one more time. Because yesterday I brought it up on stream and I actually nearly fainted. Erik ten Hag, after the game yesterday, he said this stuff about his tactics being right. But he also said that getting 2 points away in Europe shows that Manchester United are a difficult team to beat. For me, that just blows my mind. Do you ever feel like some of the signings we've made by him time are underwhelming, needing development, are all round mid? Feels like Ineos are aware of this. Do you think it would be different, if he had like Joshua Zirkzee? I don't know what the hell it is that Erik ten Hag has him playing as. I really don't know what it is, because it's not what I think is his profile type. We got him playing like kick and run football, like because he's big and strong. It's like Erik ten Hag just thinks he can just bulldoze through players like Didier Drogba used to do, or like Akinfenwa or something. Why do we have Zirkzee playing like that? It doesn't make sense. And a lot of these players, Ugarte, might not be his signing. Zirkzee might not be his signing. Most of the signings are his. They are his signings. I think no matter what happens, Erik ten Hag will be gone at the end of the season. I mean, we're talking about end of the season, guys, We're talking about end of the season. Erik ten Hag, in my opinion, let's get this right, is my opinion versus what I think will happen. In my opinion, I don't think Erik ten Hag should be here to even see out the season, number one. But equally with saying that, I don't think Ineos will sack him until it's like literally the final choice, the final... I feel like, you know what it is? It's when they realize that there is genuinely no coming back from what Erik ten Hag has done this season, they're going to be like, all right, let's just wrap this season up. Because Ineos, for me, seem like the kind of ownership led by Sir Jim Ratcliffe that are all about the money. Money. Like, Ineos, as Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't need the money. He's the richest Englishman in the world, I think. He's one of the richest Englishmen. He doesn't need the money, but he's all about profitability and sustainability when it comes to the financial position of the team, right? Financially, it wouldn't make sense for them to part ways with him right now, financially. But equally with saying that, financially, it wouldn't make sense for them to keep him past a certain points once they realize that he is unable to achieve what has been set out. Because Manchester United will lose money not in Champions League. Forget even Europa. They will lose money not being in Champions League. On top of that, a direct correlation to being out of the Champions League will be that they will lose money from their Adidas sponsorship. And yeah, they might save money because players won't get a pay rise. You know, when you play in Champions League, I think it's a 25% pay rise for most of the players. Okay, salary-wise, you won't have to have a new increase in salary, but now you are making less revenue. Next season, God forbid, but if Manchester United finish so poorly this season, what's the likelihood of Manchester United really being on TV a lot? I mean, 2 weekends now in a row, they're not on TV. Man United are playing on Sunday and it's not televised in the UK, which means broadcasting money ain't there. It's not really there. So I think Ineos are in two minds about him. One is about, we backed him and we're showing the fans that we're backing him. But equally that, they're thinking, can we afford him? Can we afford to let him go right now? Because what was Ineos' whole summer thing? Penny pinching. Summer transfer window, Ineos' goal was penny pinching when it came to the transfers. How can we pay in buy now, pay later? How can we pay in installments? It's like when you go to, I don't know, DFS and you buy a couch and they tell you can pay it over 3 years or something. It's like buying a couch from DFS. That's what they did this summer. They brought a couch from DFS and they're paying it over 3 years. I mean, in the end of it, it seems like you're not paying a lot because you're paying like £30 a month. But when you add it all up, it's a lot. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. If we sack Ten Hag now and finish 10th, I would be more as long as he's not in the dugout. I look forward to the games, even if we lost. I think the most frustrating thing probably is the fact that I feel like a lot of fans might be a bit more patient, even if Man United sacked him and weren't that great immediately. I think they would buy into the process more. I think it's the fact that it's 3 years into his tenure. I think that's a big part of it all. What's the possibility of Xavi and Ineos' discussion? Is there any truth about that? I think there's some truth to it. It makes sense in terms of the managerial availability. He's available at the end of the season. I don't think, from what I read, it said that he wanted a year out, which will be this season. And then he wants to get back into coaching. The article also said that Xavi does not want to coach in Spain. But that doesn't mean, are you talking about Xabi Alonso or Xavi? Sorry. I just realized you said Xabi. I thought you were talking about Xavi. But yeah, in reference to Xavi, he doesn't want to coach in Spain. And with Xabi Alonso, can I say, Xabi Alonso is leaving Bayer Leverkusen this season. At the end of the season, they expect him to leave. But let's be honest, guys. Xabi Alonso is going to Real Madrid. He's going to Real Madrid. Liverpool have a manager now in Arne Slot that they fully back. If what's his name? If Ancelotti's time at Real Madrid comes to an end this season, which it is, I think, it's written for Xabi Alonso. It's written for Xabi Alonso to become Real Madrid manager. So that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen either. But yeah, let's actually get on to what Erik ten Hag said. I went on a tangent about what he said at the end of the game yesterday. That I haven't even got the chance to talk about his pre-game presser ahead of the West Ham game. Speaking to the media, he was asked about the Tottenham loss. If you lot remember, Man United lost end of September, 3-0 to Tottenham. He said, I denied that game. I ignored that game against Spurs because we were downsized to 10 with a 1-0 losing possession, and then the red card was overturned. So I totally ignore that game. You know what that reminds me of, guys? Wallahi, like when I read it, and you know how if you are on Twitter, there's a lot of accounts that like post quotes from press. I had to go watch the video, right? I had to go watch it because I said I need to hear exactly verbatim what he is saying. And when I saw what he said, it reminded me of school. It reminded me of exams in school where you're like, you know what? I'm going to fail anyway, so I might as well just fail. I don't tolerate failing exams, guys, right? I'm African. There's no such thing as failing exams in my household. But there has been times where, you know, for example, mock exams. If you're from the UK, mock exams is like practice exams before you sit your actual exam. Sometimes I'd be in a bad mood when I was in school. I'd just not be in the mood for exam. And I just sit there like, just, you know what? If I'm not going to do the paper, I might as well just draw. I might as well just draw on the exam paper. This is the worst. Like, honestly, guys, when Erik ten Hag leaves Man United, I will do a stream where we're going to sit here and we are going to go back and look at everything that he has said in press conferences over the 3-year tenure that he was at Manchester United. Because what made me laugh midweek is when he said me and Mourinho have won lots of trophies. That's what made me laugh. He said me and Mourinho. It's like me saying, guys, I don't know who's a footballer that's like 5'9". Me and Messi are the same height, so we're both good footballers. How tall is Messi? But before I actually shoot myself in the foot with that, let me see if me and Messi are the same height. Yeah, me and Messi are the same height. Me and Messi are the same height. So it's literally like me. I'm actually taller than him. So it's me saying I'm taller than Messi, so I'm better than him in football. What? That don't even make sense. How can you say me and Mourinho, yeah, we've won lots of trophies together? Bring your trophies to the table. Bring your trophies. You will have a little table as small as this to put your trophies on. For Mourinho, we're going to have to bring a dining table. We're going to have to bring a dining table. But anyways, his comments about the Spurs thing, for me, it really blew my mind. It really blew my mind. And every time I think it can't get worse. And then it gets worse every single time. He was asked about, obviously, the Europa game. And he said, in 2 tough away games now in Europe, this team has character. And this team showed fighting spirit and determination to win games. If this is what Erik ten Hag calls character, yeah, if this is what Erik ten Hag calls fighting spirit, determination, I pray to God these men never have to lead us on a battlefield because we're all dead. Erik ten Hag said that these guys in 2 games showed determination and fighting spirit. Keep them away from the battlefield, guys. We're gonna have to retreat. If there was ever a war between fan bases and the cavalry has to be led by your team, guys, we all have to retreat back to the trenches because the people that are leading us at the front, they're gonna get us killed. Me and Federer have lots of Grand Slams. If you like tennis, then yeah, you and Federer, you got lots of Grand Slams. Don't let anybody ever tell you that. Don't ever let anyone tell you that. Don't ever. It's impossible. What else? What else could I say? What else could I say? Me and Pogba are both Muslim. We're both good footballers. We've got a lot in common. We have nothing in common. We got nothing in common. We'll get matched. Listen, we'll get batted up. Like, I can't believe, yeah, I get it now why my dad has stopped listening to his press conferences. Your dad, we need to be like your dad, Kadeem. Kadeem, we need to be like your dad. But the thing is, I don't even watch his press conferences, but I can't avoid it because I go on Twitter and it's all on my feed after a press conference. And I always say after a game, when Man United draw or Man United lose, I always say I don't want to hear what the man. You know, back in the day, right, guys? I don't know if you lot are the same. Back in the day, after a game, I would sit there and watch the breakdown after the game. I'd wait to see like the player interviews on TV. I'm talking about television, yeah? I'd watch on Sky Sports, for example, Super Sunday. After Super Sunday, I'll wait to see the player interviews, wait to see the manager interviews. I'll wait to watch the breakdown and analysis of the game. Now, I don't even bother doing it. If Man United are on Super Sunday, I don't even bother. As soon as 90 minutes, whistle gone, yeah, TV off. That's it. I'm gone. Because I can't. It's something that I can't fathom anymore. I really can't. And I don't know how Erik ten Hag can reference the whole injury thing, because he did. He referenced it in the press conference. And I had to go back and look at what Man United fielded against Liverpool just to get a better understanding. Erik ten Hag said, when we have all players available, we are really a tough team to play. And when we have them, we can be really, really successful. And that is what we have shown over the last couple months. What? I'm going to repeat it again one more time. When we all have players available, we are a really tough team to play. And when we have them, we can be really, really successful. And that is what we have shown over the last few months. Now, just for some context, guys, because, you know, context is important. Against Liverpool, Erik ten Hag's starting 11, I think, would have been the starting 11 that he would prefer to play with. Ugarte wasn't available, but it's very clear as day that he doesn't want to play Ugarte. I think maybe the only one is Xerxes. Xerxes was up top against Liverpool. I think Erik ten Hag might have preferred Højlund. But other than that, and maybe Luke Shaw, but I'm taking that with a pinch of salt because I ain't seen Luke Shaw in nearly about a year play for Manchester United. Apart from that, everybody else is players that Erik ten Hag would evidently play. We had Onana in goal, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Martinez, Dalot, Casemiro, Maino, Garnacho, Bruno, Rashford, Xerxes. That's at least 10 of those players are your starting players. At least 10 of them are your starting players. And that's why I don't understand this idea of injuries. Because when you have fielded your preferred starting 11 on multiple times this season, Manchester United have been humiliated. They've been humiliated. Let's go back to the Spurs game, for example, for Manchester United. The Spurs game, again, similar lineup. The only change in that lineup was Ugarte for Casemiro. So again, that proves to me that the people that played in the last few months of the season, which Erik ten Hag is saying successful few months, those are the players that you will prefer to play. And when they have played, it's not been good. It's been humiliating. It's been embarrassing. So this idea or this notion that because of injuries, you can't play how you want to play or you can't field the players that you want, for me, it's a cop-out. It's a cop-out every single time. I actually don't mind Erik ten Hag, saying after Fenerbahce, you know what, we didn't really have a lot of midfielders. I had to kind of mix it up. I had to try and experiment and try something new. I would prefer that rather than for you to just lie to us and say, I'm missing a lot of players. A lot of the players that are missing, who would have played for you? Except for Bruno, who's out suspended, and Kobbie Mainoo, Casemiro, Ugarte, Eriksen would have been the midfielders that you would have picked from. Bruno would have been your starting 10. Garnacho, Rashford, players that you would have played with. The only person I can think of is maybe Luke Shaw and maybe Mason Mount. But even with Mason Mount, he's not really been a part of Erik ten Hag's team before he got injured. He wasn't playing regular. He played once or twice consistently, and then that's it. We never saw him again. So again, I don't understand. I genuinely, guys, I think a lot of people, and you lot might not, I don't know if you lot agree with me, but I would be a lot less frustrated about all of this. I'll be a lot less frustrated about it if Erik ten Hag was just honest. If he was just honest in press conferences. But sometimes I feel like I'm being gaslit. And that is the worst thing about it. Guys, you lot know me. I won't insult the manager. I will just criticize and criticize and criticize. But I genuinely feel like we're being gaslit after a game. Because it's there, it's right in front of our eyes, and we're basically being told, you can't see. He's basically saying, you can't see, you guys are seeing wrong. The same way that he said the younger players need to learn game management, and we're the ones that made mistakes yesterday. And I don't know who those young players in question are. But in that same instance, he's telling us, we set up right, the tactics were right. And I'm like, how? I'm seeing this game in, game out. Am I like, sometimes, guys, I'm questioning myself and I'm thinking, am I starting to bug out where I'm not seeing properly? Am I seeing stuff that I'm not meant to be seeing? Or is this really happening? I think yesterday I tweeted it. I said, Anthony for Rashford. Am I bugging? I said, am I bugging? Am I seeing right? Because I thought there's no way that Rashford, who was the better of the two wingers, and Garnacho, I'm giving him some grace because I think he's actually playing with an injury or something. I was shocked to see Rashford go off, but I was more shocked to see Anthony coming on. That is what shocked me even more. I don't know what's more shocking, Mazraoui playing in the 10 or Anthony coming on when you need a goal. Because the whole thing with Mazraoui playing in the 10 is that you will be forced to make an extra substitution. Now, if Eriksen played in the 10, you could just do a like-for-like swap. If Ahmad played in the 10, you could do a like-for-like swap. But now, Mazraoui, you have had to make an extra change because you took Victor Lindelof off, who shouldn't have even played because he can't jump. He can't win aerial duels. He can't do any of that. And what happened? United conceded a goal to an aerial duel. But now you're forced to make an extra substitution. It's as if you just want to make use of all the subs you have, knowing that you don't really have a lot of players to pick from. Ugarte yesterday, he got a lot of criticism. Ugarte got a lot of criticism yesterday, and I don't think he was as bad as a lot of people made it out to be. Now, I said it after the game. I think Ugarte in a deeper role, for me, okay, he's done okay. He done okay. I don't mind him. The second that I require Ugarte, or the second United require Ugarte on the ball, that's what kind of scares me a little bit. But his ability, or his ability to kind of win duels and put in a tackle in Man United's third was not that bad. I think when he's more advanced up the pitch and he's trying to do what he's trying to replicate what he does further back, I think you can see the kind of the lack of the ability. That's it. So if you're telling me Ugarte sits deep in a game, I don't mind that. That wouldn't bother me. Just don't get him on the ball. And if you're going to get him on the ball, don't get him on the ball too much. And this is why I say again, Ugarte was just a questionable signing. I said this throughout the entire summer. I said, you lot know who I wanted. I wanted Zubimendi, whether he was going to come to United or not. But I said that in this day and age of football, you need to have people who are good on the ball. There is no this idea, guys. Yeah, listen to this. This idea that United need a goalkeeper good on the ball, but they don't need a DM that's good on the ball. Make it make sense, because that makes no sense to me. You're telling me that the outfield player has less qualities on the ball than your goalkeeper. And this is why I put this down to Ineos, because Ineos were the ones that I think persisted with the idea of Ugarte. What they're going to say, statistically, looking at the data, data-driven, data model, data stats, all of that, data. But sometimes it's the simple eye test. Why did PSG, and I said this back then, and I'm going to say it again, why did PSG want to replace him with João Neves? Why? Why did Luis Enrique have a couple of months with Ugarte and realize, you know what? He's not going to do the job that I want him to do. Why? Because you cannot be a midfielder and not be good on the ball. I don't care if you can destroy and disrupt and all of that stuff. If you are not good on the ball, those qualities or the lack of qualities will be on show for the world to see. And I think yesterday, a lot of the time, I just wanted Ugarte to get the ball out of his feet to the nearest player and let them play the ball out. Let them transition the ball. Because when he tried to play the balls, it looks unconventional as well. So again, this is not me criticizing Ugarte, because like I said, defensively, I think Manchester United can benefit from having him. I think Man United can benefit from him. Ten Hag wanted Frankie de Jong. I mean, he's another player that got injury issues. Michael says, I thought Ugarte was one of our better players yesterday. Yeah, I think he was one of our better players as well. He started, obviously, if you don't remember, he started he started the goal. He put in a tackle to win the ball. But listen, look at this, guys. Look at this right here. And shout out to The Athletic, because they always post this kind of stuff after the United game. Look at Ugarte's passing. This is Ugarte's passing throughout the game. The most passes that he makes is him in red. Look at. He goes back more than he goes forward. He goes back more than he goes forward. Now, again, take it with a pinch of salt, because just like I don't like the fact that Ineos make decisions based on data, don't base your opinion on Ugarte on this. Also, eye test is a big part. But he don't really push the ball forward. He doesn't at all. Total progressive passes, 0. But his defensive actions, and again, the defensive side of his game was decent. And I wasn't too against it. Manchester United's interest in Alphonso Davies is becoming more concrete. Man United have been gathering extensive information on Davies for several days. Listen, Man United can gather. Bro, if Man United are crap, no one's going to want to come. And I don't want to hear this idea of Man United pull. Because I'm sorry, if Real Madrid come knocking for Alphonso Davies, I know Ferland Mendy just signed a new contract, yeah? But if they come knocking for Alphonso Davies, which is a player they want, they will get him. In that same window, they're getting Trent in on a free. They're revamping their fullbacks. At that point, bro, that's Galacticos 2.0. Or 3.0 if you want to class Galacticos the Ronaldo era. I don't know. But honestly, again, Manchester United have big problems, and if they continue to lose or continue to just be crap in the way that they are, attracting talent and gathering extensive information on players that are available is the least of your worries. You got bigger, word to rub you, we got bigger fish to fry. Then again, for me at least, I don't need Ugarte to be our playmaker. Win duels and don't lose the ball. That's what he does. Everyone has a part to play. That's his, and he does it well. I agree. If Man United have the ability to raid, and maybe it's because, again, Man United don't retain possession in the manner that they should. So we're seeing a lot more of Ugarte's defensive actions. But look at Rodri, for example. He's great on the ball. He's amazing on the ball. Defensively, he's good as well. But because Manchester City do not require a lot of defensive actions, you don't see a lot of Rodri defending. You don't see it. You see more of him in possession on the ball. Like look at Man City's backline, for example. They are defenders that all know how to shoot and can score goals. Because yes, you have to know how to defend, but because of the system they play in, they're in a system that doesn't, because they're going to dominate possession all the time. Really, in transition, they'll just stick one man back in Kyle Walker, and he's chasing down everyone. He's chasing down everyone. Gad says, I think West Ham will beat us 1-0. Let's actually get to that. Let me bring something up on the screen right now. Because I know Kudus is out. Mohamed Kudus is out due to his red card, which could actually be could it be a blessing in disguise for Manchester United? Do you guys think it could be a blessing in disguise for Manchester United? You know what? I know how much you guys hate when I put this picture up. So let me put up a picture of Erik ten Hag. Because I know how much you guys hate it. Let's talk about this. Obviously, Manchester United go away to West Ham on Sunday. Again, a 2 o'clock kickoff. Not on TV, by the way. It's not televised, unfortunately. Predictions. Because West Ham, by the way, is a team that need to win. West Ham are a team that need to win. And also, West Ham is funny. West Ham concede a lot of goals. United don't score a lot of goals. How much do you guys want to bet that this is going to be a snooze fest? I might have my TV show on in the background that I'm watching right now, because there's only so much I can watch people passing back and forth. There's only so much and they're calling it the El Sacico. Is that what they're calling it? The El Sacico, whatever. It's the battle of the sackings, because their manager's under scrutiny as well right now. Their manager is under scrutiny right now. Now, again, Manchester United find themselves coming off of a late flight back home on Friday to then go to London on Saturday. How much do you guys want to bet whatever happens on Sunday, there's going to be reference to the travelling time that Manchester United have had to do over the last couple of days? There is going to be a reference about that, 100%. I still can't believe Erik ten Hag said what he said about the red card against Spurs, guys. Like, I'm actually still in shock. Because it just came up on my feed again. It just came back up on my feed. Let me see what you lot are saying. I think we scrape a 2-1 win. You think Man United are going to go 2-1 back-to-back in the Premier League? Tywin, give me whatever you're on. Honestly. I just don't see, I don't know what it is, guys, but I've been saying I don't know how Man United score. I don't know. The only thing that reassures me about Manchester United versus West Ham is the position that West Ham find themselves in right now. Like, yes, it could change the tide, getting a result against Manchester United. But surely, if Man United can't get a result against them, then we are effed. And by the way, guys, if they beat us, if West Ham win, we're level on points. This is the same. If West Ham win, and if on Sunday I have to come here and talk about the fact West Ham beat us and now we're level on points, call the police on me. Call the police on me, guys, because I won't be able to contain myself. Because how is a manager whose job is apparently on the line going to potentially be level on points with Man United? That is crazy. And by the way, Brentford win, Leicester win, they all go above us. So Manchester United have to win. We would have to win. That would make us in what position if we lose? Well, if Brentford win and Leicester win, that would put us in like 14th, 15th maybe. Luckily for us, West Ham have a worse goal difference. Imagine that's what I'm saying. Imagine I'm saying, luckily for us, West Ham have a worse goal difference. How the mighty have fallen. Let's actually see the Premier League fixtures this weekend. Let's see. Oh, let's start playing tonight. Let's start playing tonight. I might have to do an op watch. Imagine that. But let's start playing tonight. Brentford are playing Ipswich tomorrow. Let's start playing Nottingham Forest today. That's winnable games for both of them. That is actually winnable games. You know what? I saw this video. Shout out to Flex, because I think it was I saw it on Twitter, but I can't remember what account posted it. But it was Flex and Gabby Agbonlahor. That guy's annoying. But anyways, they were talking about Erik ten Hag and Flex, which I actually agree with what Flex said. Flex said the reason why the criticism on Erik ten Hag is so heavy is because of how much he's spent, right? What do you think Jose Mourinho could have done if he had 600 million in 3 seasons? I genuinely think again, hindsight is a bitch, because I'm looking back at what Jose did with Man United, finishing second, and Jose always said that's one of his greatest achievements of his career, finishing second with that team. Now you look back and you're like, you know what, low-key kind of is a good achievement to do that. It is a good achievement for a manager who, again, got a lot of his first, second, third choice signings. And yeah, his talent ID might not have been great, but I think if it was him on the receiving end of the 600 million, I think it could have been different. But again, Man City were just Man City at the time. So again, that's just prediction. See how Fred was playing yesterday. He was playing in the 10. He was playing in the 10. In his preferred position. Literally. Like, play your players where they are better at. Like, again, this idea, again, I think it's good to have this idea that a player should be able to play in multiple positions. But I think it's absurd to play a player like Mazraoui in the 10. Like, at that point, I need Erik ten Hag to be investigated. It would have been better off Loki like playing Onana in the 10. Like, that for me, I would, if you said to me today Onana was playing in the 10 against Fenerbahce, I'll be like, all right, let's see how it goes. But Mazraoui is so random. That's actually so I don't think we're deep in, guys, how random it was to put, out of all the players at your disposal, you put Nazir Mazraoui in the 10. And then you look at something like this and you realize he barely had any touches in the middle of the pitch. Just look at the whole central part. Just like the central part of the final third. Just here. Bro, what is this? What is this? It makes no sense. This is where most of his touches came. He had more touches when he was playing as a fullback, of course, I think. Then he did win the first half in the 10. I didn't get the chance to check what his stats were at halftime, but I'm sure he didn't have a lot of touches. I'm sure he didn't have that much involvement. And he had the pre-assist, like I said, for the goal. But for me, this was just, it was the most, is it one of the most questionable things that Erik ten Hag has done? Potentially, yeah. Potentially, I think it is one of the most questionable things. Just as questionable as leaving one of your best, or one of the best technical players that you have in your team out of the game. And not just out of the game, but I think he hasn't played, like, leading up to Fenerbahce, I don't think he's played 2 games in a row. That would have, I think if Anthony never got injured, it would have been his 3rd game as an unused sub. And he's created the 2nd most chances for Manchester United this season. Again, no one is questioning it. And I can't understand it. I really can't understand it. Amad Diallo has 6 months now left on his contract, with obviously the option. I don't know if it's the club option, if it's an option for the club to pick up, or it's an option for him to pick up. I think he should run. Like, run, Forest, run. And imagine that I'm saying that as a Man United fan, because it's unfortunate the way his career has turned out at Manchester United. And Man United has been known as a black hole to ruin careers. And we shouldn't ruin careers this early, not at the expense of keeping a manager like Erik ten Hag. It shouldn't be done like that. And I'm sorry, I'm going to question his man management, because why? Someone said to me I was being basically stupid for questioning it, right? So someone was saying that I was basically being stupid for questioning this. But I'm sorry, yeah? You are chasing, and I referenced this yesterday, You are chasing. Actually, let me. Where's it gone? I hate when this happens. You're chasing a goal, right? You're chasing a goal. You're about to make a change. If you're sending on an attacking player, does it hurt as a manager to just go over and just put your arm around a player? Yeah, just tap him on the head. Whatever. Like, good luck. Come on, you got this. Apparently, it's unreasonable me saying that because apparently that's the job of assistant coaches, and that's what assistant coaches are there to do. But don't you think it sends a message? Don't you think it sends a message? And someone pointed it out for me yesterday as well, like when Erik ten Hag didn't celebrate Jadon Sancho's goal. Is this another player that potentially is being done wrong by Erik ten Hag? Because I'm sorry, I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, but I'm going to mention it again. Erik ten Hag said last season that Ahmad was great in training, but he has to be patient for his moment because other people are performing well. And nobody was performing well for United that time. Nobody was performing well. This is like March, April time. No one was performing well. But he said Ahmad was great in training, but he has to wait for his moment. But yesterday he says Anthony is great in training, one of our best players in training, so he deserves to play. He deserves to come on. Is that not contradiction in the biggest form? I think that's contradiction. You're contradicting yourself. Because it's one standard for one player and another standard for another. Of course, the player that you, I think, favoritize because that's the guy that you signed. You didn't sign Amad Diallo. He was just there when you came. And even when you were there when he came, he didn't really play. And then he went out on loan. The way he looked pissed yesterday, and he's a calm guy by default. He looks like a very, he gives me nonchalant vibes, but he looked pissed yesterday. Even there was a picture of them on the bench and Anthony's looking at him and he's just sitting there like this. He looked angry. Ten Hag saying Anthony looked good in training as well. I don't know. I don't care if Anthony was the best player out of the entire male population on earth. I wouldn't bring him on. I'm sorry, but you don't look at your bench and think, Anthony, Ahmad, we need a goal. And that's why I actually think Erik ten Hag was accepting of the draw. I think that, and also, I know Erik ten Hag has questioned Ahmad's ability to defend in comparison to Anthony, which is why I think Anthony came on. Because Erik ten Hag was happy to see the game out for a draw. And then he could come out and say, a point here away is a great result. It's a horrible result. And anybody that is accepting of it, I don't care, guys. I don't care. Man United made Fenerbahce look good yesterday. Man United made Fenerbahce look good. This is the same Fenerbahce, by the way. The fans want the manager out because they're like fourth or something in the league. They're not performing that well in the league in comparison to what they're used to. And first half, they bossed us off the pitch. And that is my biggest problem, I think. That is my biggest problem right now, is that there's far too many games just this season alone. Like if we want to go off the whole kind of sample size of Erik ten Hag's time at United, we can, but just of this season alone, we make every team look good. I think Southampton is the only team that we made them look like what they should be. Every other team, we make them look good. And then we make it difficult for ourselves. So for me, it's like, what is the manager improving? Nothing has improved. I cannot say, and this is why I asked a lot of you guys last night, if you were watching the stream after the game, I said, has anything improved in 12 months? Because 12 months ago, United won against FC Copenhagen. That's their only European win in 11 games, right? Has anything really changed, just as a whole, in the Premier League and in Europe? Has anything changed, or does Man United look even worse? I actually think Man United look even worse this season. Because the reason why I think in Europe, Man United look worse, right? At least I'm saying at least, yeah, but Bayern Munich got smoked midweek in Champions League, right? Different coach, etc., right? But at least in the Champions League, I think the teams in the Champions League are slightly better, right? Is that consensus right, that the teams in Champions League are slightly better than the teams in Europa League? So why do we look this bad in Europa League? I came into Europa League saying, let me not put words in you guys' mouth. I came into Europa League saying, Man United have to win it. Man United have to win it because every team in there, Man United should be better than. You have Every English team in European football right now winning, except for Manchester United. Do you know how crazy that is? Chelsea, even though they're in the Conference League, yeah, and they got a 55,000 man squad, and the depth in their squad is ridiculous, but they're winning. Spurs, unbeaten in Europa League. Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Manchester United are the only team that are embarrassing England in the European competitions. But worse than that, they're embarrassing themselves. And it's all down to the manager. Can I just say that? It's all, for me, this is all on the manager. Because how can you spend another 200 million and look worse? How can you look worse? That is, it's like, guys, I don't condone people who get cosmetic surgery, yeah, but each to their own. But it's like getting cosmetic surgery and looking uglier than you looked before. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Are you going to tell me now we need another 200 million in the summer to finally start the progress or process or whatever the hell you want to say? Nah. Our mentality is poor. That's also part of the coaching curriculum, and that's something Erik ten Hag seems to be damn poor at. I mean, Erik ten Hag is coming out after a game, speaking to the media, saying our tactics were right, but then we have young players that make mistakes like today. So it's like it's coming out and saving yourself by throwing other people under the bus, which is young players. Stick to the process, Minan. I want out. I want out of the process. I want out. Take me out of the process. I want nothing to do with it. And I'm being dead honest, guys. I'm being serious. If Erik ten Hag somehow continues to... If United get to the international break... When is the next international break? I just feel like Ten Hag is an arrogant person normally. He's feeling so entitled, like he's won us Champions League. You know what is just kind of confuses me about Erik ten Hag? Just like, not in a disrespectful way or anything, because I don't like to be disrespectful, guys. I feel like Erik ten Hag thinks he's a lot better than what he is. I feel like Erik ten Hag thinks he's a lot better, because if you remember after the FA Cup final, he was tooting his own horn. He said on public television, BBC Sport, he said, it's fine. If they want to get rid of me, I'll go win trophies elsewhere. Of course, that's the kind of shit that you can talk after winning the FA Cup. So I'll give you that. You can talk that. But equally saying that, watching everything else kind of transpire over there. He said after Ineos chose to keep him, he said, yeah, they looked around and realized I was the best guy for the job. Read the room. Then you come out after, losses, and it's always on the players. It's always on the players need to do better. They need to improve their game management. They need to read the game better. They need to do this. They need to do that. But what about the person that's setting them up in that manner? What about that? Why is it there's no criticism on that? That's where, for me, is someone that is, in life, guys, yeah? This is going to get deep for a second. But, in life, it's very important, I think, to be a reflective person. I'm a very reflective person. The person that I am to my friends, the person that I am to my family, the person that I am to colleagues, the person that I can be to strangers. I'm very reflective of that. If you have no kind of self-awareness, yeah, people will not be able to tolerate you in whatever circle, whether it's your social circle of friends, whether it's your family, whatever it is, they would not be able to tolerate you and your presence and you being around them, because they're just going to think this person is so arrogant, they're this, they're that. I don't think Erik ten Hag is a bad person, but when it comes to coaching and when he speaks after games and in press conferences, I actually think he has no self-awareness. I think he's in his bubble, and it's like everybody is outside of his bubble and they're the problem, because everything inside the bubble is near enough to perfection. Big up to Gaz. Big up. Gaz says, new to the channel. Welcome, Gaz. Welcome. Says, completely agree, Minna. Plus, what was Anthony doing last night? That was an embarrassing display and had them carry him off as well. The guy needs to go. Ten Hag too. MUFC says, that's nitpicking, Minna. There are moments when he talked to Ahmed and other moments when he didn't talk to other subs because he's focusing on the game. I get the hate, but this is too far. No, I respect that. I respect your comment. That's why I said, am I being harsh? I said, am I being harsh? And am I reading too into it? Because that's what I think fans are guilty of. We read too into stuff, because that's what we're seeing at a face level kind of thing. But I appreciate it, MUFC. Big up to Aminol with the super chat. I appreciate the contribution, man. Thank you so much. Says, Minna, I did not watch the game last night. Congratulations. Well done. Well done, Aminor. But this manager throwing young players under the bus and Ahmad treatment, this guy is concussed, wallahi. Did you see what he said about the Spurs games? Yeah, we touched on the Spurs game. We touched on it. What do you guys think of what he said about the Spurs game? In case you missed it, I'm going to run it back. Before the West Ham game, for the press conference, before the game, sorry, he was asked about the Tottenham loss, and he said, I denied that game. I ignored that game against Spurs because we were down to 10 with a 1-0 losing position, and then the red card was overturned, so I totally ignored that game. Because he was asked about his form in the Premier League, and basically how Man United are performing in the Premier League. And he basically said, oh, I acknowledge all the other games, but the Spurs one, I'm ignoring it. Which is kind of funny. The players make really basic mistakes. The one thing that makes me doubt Erik ten Hag is his lack of in-game tactical nous and his weird-ass substitutions. But do you think the mistakes that players make could be eliminated depending on how you set them up? For example, I feel like for midfielders, there's a lot of ground for them to cover. So in transition, a lot of the time, Man United get caught out in transition a lot by opponents, number one. Number two, in the midfield, Manchester United are so focused on this man-to-man press that they always leave two midfielders of the opponent to one midfielder of Manchester United. So don't you think the tactical style that Erik ten Hag plays, if he alters that a little bit, maybe then we would see less of a vacant midfield. We would see less of the opponent overloading in the midfield. We would see a lot less transitional football from the opponent where it's a success. Because if we go back to last season against Wolves, guys, opening week, if you lot remember, who was it? Varane scored the goal that Man United nicked the game. Mateus Nunes was running through Man United's midfield. Man United's midfield problems, I think, were on show then, and it's still on show now. Even with a different midfield. Even with a different approach to the game. The instructions are still the same. Man-to-man press, one man sits, two go forward and dart forward, where they're playing 5-6 guys forward. But if you don't remember that Wolves game, even I remember Newcastle last season in the Carabao Cup, was it Joe Linton or Bruno Guimaraes? I think it was Joe Linton. We made him look like Wallahi Seydorf. The way he was running through Man United midfield. Again, it was quite a rotated squad that Manchester United was playing. Mason Mount was playing, etc. But again, different players, same problem. So I do think a part of it can be on the players, but equally, I think a bigger load of it is on the manager. But that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. But guys, quickly, before we wrap it up, because it was meant to be an hour, and I just talk so much, it kind of went past. I didn't even say, guys, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new here, please do subscribe as well. It's the road to 7K. I think we're like less than 100. I think it's like less than 100 away from 7K, if I'm not wrong. Let me double check. Yeah, we're less than 60 away to get to 7K. So if you are new here, please do subscribe. Predictions. Actually, should I save the predictions for tomorrow's stream? Because I have a stream tomorrow. So I might actually save the predictions for that. But Manchester United kind of find themselves in a hole, I think, for Europa League. I feel like with Europa League, I think we're underestimating how bad this start has been. Because people are saying, oh, because of the league format, etc., you're more likely to get through. You just have to win a couple of games. Are there a couple of games of wins on the horizon in Europa League? Because we're saying, oh, Porto and Fenerbahce were the difficult games, but FC20 should have been an easy 3 points, apparently. It should have been. I think Man United got the difficult fixtures out of the way now for Europa League. I think the more difficult fixtures are gone. So that's one good thing. But Europa League, it's not getting any better. Sorry. And Premier League, I hope it starts to get better. But there's no guarantee because we play West Ham on Sunday in the Premier League. And then we got Chelsea the following week. And we got a midweek game. They're just forcing us to watch Man. Stop making us watch Man United so much. Well, I just want to watch one game a week. Why I gotta watch 3 games in 1 week? I gotta watch 3 games in 6 days, guys. We have to watch 3 Man United games in 6 days. If I was, MI5 or FBI, whatever, that would be my torture tactic. I'd make people watch United games. That's how I'm torturing you. I'm not gonna do what's it called, waterboarding and all of that stuff. Nah, we're not doing that. I'm gonna just put a United game on the screen, and I'm gonna literally sellotape your eyes so you have to watch it. You can't even close your eyes. Everybody is predicting a loss, by the way, in the chat. 2-0 West Ham. 2-1 West Ham. I'm sorry, United, but you did this to yourselves. Yahya says 0-0. 3-1 West Ham. This is, by the way, a West Ham team that is not prolific at scoring, guys. Let's see what the goals are saying. West Ham have scored more goals than United, so... West Ham have scored more goals than United. So I can't really say they're not a team that prolifically scores. They've scored 4 goals more than United. I wish Man United had double-digit goals. Man United don't even have double-digit goals in the league right now. Just for some context, guys, United have scored 7 in the Premier League and have conceded 9, whereas West Ham has scored 11 and scored 15. How many teams have not broke the double-digit mark? There's a lot of teams that actually have not broken the double-digit mark in goals for the Premier League. So it's not solely United. I mean, Southampton, Crystal Palace, Ipswich, all teams in a relegation battle, and then Newcastle and Forest. But Newcastle still find themselves 9th. Newcastle still find themselves 9th place. At least they're in the top half of the table. 1-1 says Fat4. I said 1-1 for the Fenerbahce game. I said I could see it being a draw. I said if United win it, I'll be very shocked. And I said if Fenerbahce win it, I'd be very shocked. But looking at this West Ham game, I just feel like it could be another Villa-ish performance where it's just it's like a boring snooze fest. It's like I could actually see that kind of performance on the horizon, guys. I genuinely can see that. But listen, guys, you know what it is. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Let's try and get to 100 likes. If you are watching this back or you've been here this whole time and you haven't hit the like button, please do hit the like button. I'll be back tomorrow, inshallah, God willing. 1 o'clock UK time, the lowdown, me and Saeed. I know he's going to have a lot of stuff to say. So we'll be back with that. And I got a special announcement coming in coming days. I think I can announce it now, but I'm going to wait a bit. So if you want to see the announcement, guys, follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see the announcement. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. And then obviously we've got match day content on Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to do a watch along for El Clasico. I'd rather watch that with my family, but we'll see. We'll see. But big up to everyone. Like I said, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful evening, guys. I'm out. Peace.